This is a wake-up call from who we are till today to who we could be. Infinite potential is waiting for us to just unearth it. Unfathomable opportunities are waiting for you and I. This, understand, start with, who is this I? Who is this I? You and I keep saying, this mobile is mine, that house is mine, that pen is mine, that family is mine. This is yours. You say this is yours. This is not you. This is mine. This is not me. That I which is inside of us, ancient India has been talking about to discover that I. And that I is infinite potential. So now, going beyond that is explanation of today we are traveling from limited knowledge, limited acquired knowledge to the school, colleges, degrees, and we're making our great ambition some successes and majority time of suffering and failure. And some of us are escaping that, maybe more of successes, less of failure. But is that it? Just think, who is this I? The moment you say I, you say raise your hand, it means this body, this mind, this name, and the form, and the function that I do, role that I play in my family. Now, this is where we are making the mistake. This is I, is just imagine, I see the world through this whole world comes to me through the five senses. These five senses feed the data through the instruments of the senses. Like the vision comes through the instrument called eye. And like that, through the body, and it projects through the optical lens and goes into the brain. Tiny, tiny particles of electricity. From there, it goes into the mind. So I see the mountain. Mountain doesn't enter my eye. But light falls on it, creates an image in my eye, which in turn goes at tiny particles of electricity. Whole mountain is converted into tiny bit of electrical particle of electricity. Goes into the mind. Mind, depending on the age of that physical age. Like a baby's mind also sees the mountain but does not orient itself to be a mountain. A little grown up, when we've seen a mountain, our data is there, is telling us this is a mountain. Now, that recognition, how does it take place? Till today, the Western science is not finding it. Where does the mind, the brain, the senses get the power from? Just think, you can see me and hear me right now, but can you see me and hear me if you were sitting there and you were unconscious? If you were in coma? If I'm in coma, the whole world vanishes for me. If I've been injected for operation lying in the OT, I can't see the world. World has vanished for me. That is called the consciousness. You have to be conscious. This is the consciousness which empowers the mind through the reflective consciousness, which is called the subconscious mind, to the brain, and brain to these five senses to the world. Our intention today is to wake up, to understand that we are operating from limited senses and wisdom and the knowledge. Limited. Maybe a degree, maybe a doctor, engineer, professor, teacher, businessman, IT. Limited. Even if we have read all the books of the world library. But just think, the huge plethora of information of the world, universe, is so infinite ignorance. We are not looking at the infinite ignorance, we are looking at what we know. And because that limited knowledge is creating some success, some failure. When you operate from the infinite ignorance and through inquiry take up the journey, then you touch upon that true light which is within you, that consciousness. As per Upanishad, ancient India's Vedanta says that consciousness is Ishvara, is God. Call it by Allah, Christ, Jehovah, any name that you can think of. That is consciousness, is Ishvara, God. And this whole universe is created because of the consciousness. And this consciousness is the power which is within you and me, with everyone. A very easy to understand is the analogy of a dream. Have you realized there are three things in common for everybody's dream? Which is that thing which is there in the beginning of the dream, in the middle of the dream, and at the end of the dream? Which is that thing? Ask yourself. And that is you. You have to be there to dream. You have to be there during the dream. And you have to be there at the end of the dream to say, I am there. Now, that's you. Which is that you? This is what I mean by who is this I. This is the consciousness which is called the true I. As per Mandakya Upanishad, this Mandakya Upanishad tells us that the ancient India's Om, A, U and A is the Jagrat. Mandakya tells us we have four states. A is the Jagrat, which is the awakened world. Right now, I hope I'm not putting you to sleep. Number 2 is the dream sleep state, Swapna. Jagrat, Swapna, waking, dreaming. Third is the deep sleep state. Consciousness powers the awakened state right now. I can see, hear, talk to you. You can do the similar thing because you are conscious. Second, in the dream sleep, powered by consciousness. Dream sleep. These two gives you a memory, and when you wake up, you remember them. Or when you're awakened, you understand it. Number 3 is the deep sleep state. Did you know that there is no memory, no thoughts, nothing? And yet, when you wake up from deep sleep, you say, I had a wonderful sleep. How did you know that? Because your consciousness is the only thing present in your deep sleep. These are the 3 states. What's the 4th state? So now if you chant Om, it is O is A and U. A is Jagrat, U is dream sleep. A and U as per Sanskrit grammar become O. So O and it's the deep sleep. After that, when you chanted Om, and if you chanted, once you finish Om, you take a deep breath. That's a silence. That's the 4th state. That 4th state is that Turiya means 4th, or consciousness as per Mandakya Upanishad is Turiya, or 4th state. That is true you. And now, when you operate from the researching towards ignorance, searching, and put in more towards the awakened state of the knowledge and the wisdom, this consciousness comes into play in your life with your inner voice. As per Swami Vivekananda and Vedanta, is that inner voice is the God's voice. Always ready to guide you, always ready to tell you. But you and I say, it was just something I thought of. No, listen to the inner voice. And when you listen to the inner voice, whatever may be your background, maybe worst is what? I come from a very stinky, very murky area. But have you realized in India, whatever we worship, especially in Hinduism, whatever we worship, it is represented with a lotus. Our gods and goddesses are sitting on top of the lotus. Have you ever asked yourself, why lotus? Because lotus is symbol of coming out of the murky, dirty water and gives away powerful fragrance. People come from, the wasps and honeybees come from miles away, sip the nectar and go away, benefit from the lotus. Just think, tadpoles and little fish under the water is playing around the lotus stem, but they don't know the fragrance of the lotus on top of the water. But the miles away they come. This lotus, more murky the water, it works as manure for the lotus. And yet, lotus is untouchable. Dirty mug cannot touch it, water cannot wet it, and it falls off. That lotus is true you. This is the wake up call. This is what I want you to awaken and understand, that consciousness is the power within you. How do you tap into it? Just being, not working hard. Every day, morning and evening, at least 15 minutes, not too much, towards attaining your lifetime dream. Sit still, chant silently, pay attention to the ooh and After that consciousness is what? You remember, this is the light. This is the light which is the sunlight. Sunlight, imagine a metaphor is sun is powering the moon called the mind. And the mind gets the power and mind shows the light to the earth. That mind is powered by the sun. Do you ever look at the sun and ever look at the moon and say, what beautiful sunlight? We don't. We are unconscious. This is what is the wake-up call. Wake up. Be aware of your awareness. You have no doubt that you're a human. You have no doubt that you're not a woman, or if you're a man, or you're a man if you're not a woman. You are aware of who you are. How come we are not aware who we really am? Who is this I? Who is this I? Become aware. And now, when you go into the meditative state, on the fourth state is the lit up you. Your eyes are closed. Imagine, visualize. You're filled with light and plant your vision. Dream big, think big, visualize and plant your seed of what you want in your life. And just watch. Let it be. Just like when you plant a seed onto the ground, you don't dig it up to see whether it is germinating. Once you planted the seed of your prayers, of your vision, or your wish, whatever you call it, whatever you believe in, just plant it. This is called thinking big. This is called dreaming big. Once you do that, enormous potential is waiting to come up and surprise you. And you will say, my God, I actually thought of it. Hasn't it happened to you? Sometimes when you were thinking, I'm waiting for a call from my mother, it's my birthday. Let's say you are in another place, another country. And tring comes up. And you pick up and you say, Mom, I was just thinking of you. Maybe mom, maybe dad, maybe your friend, maybe your lover, maybe your wife, maybe your husband. Hasn't it happened? That was unknowingly, unconsciously. You were not aware of the sunlight, you were calling it the moonlight. But the moon doesn't have its light. You do not have that, but that consciousness has it. And that is all yours. It's within you. This is my wake-up call to you. An explanation of what I talked to you in my Instagram. Come, look forward to seeing you waking up. Discover that enormous power of ancient India, which is within all of us.